you tell your... Okay, cool. We are back on Twitch, but not on TikTok. I'm at 9,000. Oh, God. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Kept Evergreen. So I was running my Twitch stream on OBS, and I tried to run OBS. I had to like close the program and try to run it again. And because TikTok was just taking a screen capture of OBS, when I shut down OBS, my TikTok stream froze. So I shut that down. My bad, guys. I've only been doing this a few months. Thanks for bearing with me. We are trying to get back live onto TikTok. As we speak, we are going to keep going. We're going to try again. We were going to quit earlier for connection issues, and if the connection issues keeps breaking the show, we are going to call it early. But thank you guys for hanging out with me anyway. All right, we're going to get back to it. That's the Eidolon of Blossoms. It's cool. It's a great little piece of card draw. It's $3. All right. Are we back? Twitch is well, I hope it behaves. I sure hope it behaves. All right. How dare you have technical issues out of your control? You know, so here's the thing, Kept Evergreen. I really hope they're out of my control, but sometimes I find out I had issues and they were in my control the whole time and I was just ignorant. Hey guys, we're doing Shrine Tribal tonight on live deck building. If you want to suggest any cards for our Go Shintai deck, put them in the comments. If you see them over here, it'll be put into a deck list. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for bearing with me through the technical issues. We're gonna pull up another Go Shintai card while we wait for a suggestion for our commander deck. Go Shintai. Which one? Let's talk about the blue one. So this blue one, it's also an uncommon from the Neon Genesis Kamigawa block. This is a 2-mana blue enchantment creature, Shrine. Shrine is not a creature type. I don't know the judge's words to describe that. Unfortunately, things that care about creature types don't function super good in our Shrine Tribal deck. This thing is a flying 0/4, and at the beginning of your end step, you may pay 1, and if you do, you draw, or target player mills X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. This thing is the worst shrine, in my opinion. It just mills cards. You gotta get up to like 10, 11 before this thing can start having impactful triggers. This thing is usually the only mill card in a shrine deck, and it's really just there because it's an aggressively costed 2-mana shrine that can be a 0/4 flying blocker. Also, you know what my favorite part of this card though is? This art is metal as hell. This guy is hanging upside down from whatever the hell this thing is. It's great. The artist did a great job. 10 out of 10. All right, do we have any suggestions? Frozen Aether! Yeah, Frozen Aether, suggested by Kept Evergreen over on Twitch. Thank you for hanging out with me over on Twitch, Kept Evergreen. I appreciate it. If you guys would like to help me earn a little bit of coins for my content, please head on over to Twitch and give me a follow. I really appreciate it. This is a Frozen Aether. It's a 4-mana blue enchantment for $3, and it says that artifact creatures and lands your opponent's control come into play tippity taps. It's cool. It is a stacks piece. It's only $3, or if you want a foil version, it's $11.99. This thing's not particularly my vibe, if I'm being real with you. On live deck building, we talk about whatever cards you guys want to suggest. But for my personal playstyle, I wouldn't run this because it's a spell that only hurts my opponents. And like I have removal for that. Like I run like 10 to 12 pieces of spot removal in a deck and no more. And I don't run stacks because I'm already committing like 10 or 12 pieces of my deck to hurting my opponents. I want the other spaces to be filled with fun things that let me do stuff. And this card just stops other people from doing stuff. So for those reasons, I don't run stacks pieces. Alright, so we're going to pull up another Go Shintai while we wait for another suggestion. Hey everybody, while we wait, I am Bigger Gayer Magic. I'm a video editor and streamer, and on live deck building, we talk about the cards that you guys would put into a commander deck. Our commander tonight is Go Shintai of Life's Origin. It's a 5-color Shrine commander, and it was printed in the Neon Genesis Kamigawa block. And we're going to talk about the white one now. This one's 40 cents, and it is 4 mana. It's a mono white shrine with vigilance, and it's a 1/3. And it says at the beginning of your end step, you get a trigger. You can pay 1, and if you do, you make a 1/1 colorless spirit creature token for each shrine you control. This one's my favorite. This one's my favorite because I love white token strategies. This thing makes shrine tokens, and when we get a bunch of shrine tokens, we have a bunch of shrines. And we want to have a bunch of shrines because having a bunch of shrines creates more impactful triggers off our shrines. And this one makes dudes. We love making dudes. We win by having a bunch of dudes and swinging outright with our dudes. And this thing makes a bunch of dudes, and it does it as long as we can pay that 1 into that trigger. It's a good time. It's the same amount of mana as our commander. It's good. It's a good one. I like it. Sanctum of All. Sanctum of All, suggested by Frostace over on Twitch. Okay, so Sanctum of All is it's a hardcore. It's the 5-color shrine. So before we had a legal shrine commander, people would run Sanctum of All in the command zone, and they would rule 0 it because... And people would run it in the command zone because it was the legendary 5-color shrine, and you could make a shrine deck and have an illegal shrine commander. People would run it in the rule 0. This thing's cool. It says at the beginning of your upkeep, you may search your library for a shrine card, plop it directly onto the battlefield, and if you got 6 or more shrines, and you got a shrine to trigger an ability, you get an additional time as long as you got the 6 or more shrines. It's very cool. It's 5 colors. It searches for whatever shrine you need, and that's a super powerful trigger because if you have to remove something, you can find that shrine. If an opponent has too many cards in their hand, you can find the black shrine that forces discard. You can find the blue shrine that draws you cards. This thing can find you the shrines you need in the moment, which is cool on that upkeep trigger. I like it. It's very cool. It was a cool shrine commander before we had a legal one. Spicy Tortilla says a Wild Growth. I enjoy Wild Growth. I think Wild Growth belongs in lots of decks. It's like a 2-mana instant, right? It's like a 2-mana Simic instant, and it says that we draw a card and we get to slam a land from our hand, right? That's what Wild Growth does, right? No, I'm thinking Growth Spiral. What the hell is Wild Growth? Oh, Wild Growth is the 1-mana mono green enchanted land, and when it taps, it adds an additional green. This thing is a great piece of ramp. It's super aggressively costed at 1 green mana, and we can cast it turn 1, and then we ramp on turn 1 for additional green mana. This thing's great. It's not often you see a lot of ramping permanents or permanents that help you generate mana at 1 mana that aren't crazy amounts of real human American money. This thing's only 70 cents. It's very cool. It looks like this one was recently printed in the Murders at Karlov Manor precon, but these things are cheap. These things are bulk, which is great. I recommend it. Even if you're not in a particularly like enchantment build, this card's still really good, especially in green. So we got a Sanctum of no, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Eye of the Storm from Kept Evergreen. So we're gonna do Eye of the Storm, and then we're gonna do No Rest for the Wicked. So Eye of the Storm, Twitch suggestion. Oh, come on, Connection, you can do it. I believe in you. All right, everybody, while we wait for that to load, I am Bigger Gayer Magic. I'm a video editor and streamer, and on live, we do live deck building, and we got suggested an Eye of the Storm. This thing is a 7-mana blue enchantment. It's $2, and it says whenever a player plays an instant or sorcery card, you remove it from the game. Spoken exile. And then each player copies each instant and sorcery card removed from the game. I hate it. From Eye of the Storm. For each copy, that player may pay the copy without paying for it. I hate this. This makes the game so complicated, and it really clogs it up. But if you are a chaotic player, if you like being silly and goofy, and you like doing silly things, this is very silly. But I also hate it, because it's going to be really complicated. Especially if you're playing with newer players. This is going to take this is going to add an hour to your game. I feel like this is going to add at least an hour to your game. And then if you have to resolve complicated stacks, that's not particularly for me. I feel like it adds a level of complication that I'm not here for me personally. But if you want to be silly, if you are about that life, you can come grab this bearded wizard and you can upset your friends for only $2 and 8 mana in blue. Gabriel, Apostate of Hate, thank you so much for hanging out with me over on Twitch, Gabriel. You say, what about the big Ramos funny guy? I love the big Ramos funny guy. Ramos the Dragon Engine is a colorless 6-mana commander. It's a dragon. It came out in the Dragon precon. It's one of my favorite guys, and it's one of my favorite commanders. It's my only 5-color commander right now. Ramos is rad, and we built Ramos on live deck building. If you want to see the cards viewers put in for that one's also on the Moxfield page, and you can check that out via the link in the profile. This thing's a flying 4/4, and it says whenever you cast a spell, you put a counter on Ramos for each of that spell's colors. So if you're running Ramos as your commander, you want to run really colorful spells. Like, you want a bunch of different pips as possible, because when Ramos gets counters, you can then remove 5 counters from Ramos at instant speed and plop out 10 mana. And if you have 10 mana at instant speed, you can respond to things. I love Ramos. My Ramos build is built around charms. Charms are instants that have different effects. They all have less impactful effects, but it has a lot of them, and you get to choose them. So when you plop out 10 mana at instant speed and you have a bunch of modal charms in your deck, you can just pick the perfect response. I love my Ramos deck. I love Ramos. He's only $2.50. He's a good time, and you should try him out in a 5-color deck, especially if you enjoy fun little value pieces. Where can I look at the deck list? Matt Bissett, check out the link tree. Click the lemonade, and then you'll have an option for a link tree, and then check out the Moxfield page. Thank you very much, Matt Bissett, for asking. All right, so we got a Sanctum of Calm Water. Oh, no, we were going to do something. I'm sorry I'm missing the... No Rest for the Wicked. No Rest for the Wicked, and then we are going to do a Sanctum of Calm Waters. No Rest for the Wicked. No Rest for the Wicked is a Wicked. That is too many E's. No Rest for the Wicked. Alright, No Rest for the Wicked is loading, and it is 40 cents. It's black, it's 2 mana, it's an enchantment that says sacrifice No Rest for the Wicked as an activated ability. I think we can do that at instant speed, and then we can return to your hand all creature cards that are put into your graveyard from play this turn. This thing's cool. It feels fair. It's 40 cents. It's 2 mana. We can activate it at instant speed. We don't have to pay any mana into it. And it doesn't quite save our board from a board wipe by any means, but it does help us rebuild easier. If someone wipes the board on another player's turn, we can activate this thing, put all our creatures back into our hand, and then rebuild on the following turn. This thing's cool. The art's kind of hardcore, though. Damn, that seems very 90s. Cool card. I don't think I've seen that one before. Sanctum of Calm Waters. Hello, everybody. If you're just now joining me, I am BGM. We do live deck building here. If you want to suggest a card for our Goshen Tide Shrine Tribal Commander deck, put them in the comments. You see it over here. It'll be put into a Moxfield deck list, and y'all can all check that out. This is 4 mana. It's blue. It's 60 cents, and it says that at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may draw X cards, where X is the number of shrines you control. If you do, you discard a singular card. That discard a singular card at the end of that line of text is a joke. This thing makes Shrine players draw their decks. Because if let's say we have our commander, and then we plop this thing out, our commander makes a shrine token, then we have 3 shrines. And at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you're gonna draw a bunch of cards off this thing and you're gonna discard a singular one. It's gonna get us up 2 cards on the turn after we cast it. It's great. And then the more shrines we have, just the more cards we have. This thing is going to end up drawing the Shrine player like up to 10 cards and a trigger, and by that point, it's already too late. You've already lost. But you're not going to lose for like another 30 minutes because they got to cast all the shit they drew. I'm not a big fan of Shrine decks. I feel like they take a long time to play, in my opinion. And also resolving that many triggers at the same time can be kind of complex for newer players. Honden of Seeing Winds. Honden of Seeing Winds. And we also, Void says, I'm working on a Ramos Arcane deck. What do you mean a Ramos Arcane deck? And also, Gabriel Apostate of Hate. So I see your Ramos Progenitus Emrakul combo. I'm sorry, man. That is... So it's hard for me to show combos because I'm only showing one card at a time. But that is cool. So I don't know. Can you explain your combo in the comments, please, Gabriel? So we are pulling up a Honden of Seething Winds. I really like drawing cards too. Drawing cards is just one of those things you need a commander deck to do in order to function. Ramping and drawing. Can I please get a spell check on the Honden of Seeing Winds? We're gonna pull up a Doomwake Giant. So Doomwake Giant is a mean card. It's mean, but it's not as bad as like an Archfiend of Ifnir or like a Toxrill or something, but it's still mean. Especially if you have a bunch of little enchantments. Shrines. Wait, let's check our commander. Does our commander make enchantment creature tokens? 1/1, colorless shrine, enchant. Okay, great. So our commander's tokens are enchantments. Doomwake Giant is a black enchantment creature for 5 mana. And with the constellation trigger, that means when an enchantment enters, this thing triggers. And this thing says that each creature that we don't have gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So we can have like 3 or 4 enchantments enter. Or like let's ration it out. So we're gonna be running a lot of ramp. We are in enchantments. Enchantment subtype has a lot of ramp. So we're gonna ramp out hard. We're gonna get to the point where we can comfortably cast this. We're gonna pass the turn, and then we're gonna wipe the board with this thing's triggers for the rest of the game if our opponents let us. Because this thing is kind of creating a big amount, like a big wide board of little enchantments, this thing's going to get a ton of triggers, and this thing's going to function like a continuous board wipe, and it's going to make your opponents sad. But you're probably going to win. This thing's been printed in quite a few enchantment precons. It looks like this thing got reprinted again in the Amanatu Duskmourn enchantment precon. It was also printed in the Onyxia Abzan precon from Commander Masters. Alright, let's pull... It might pop up, then, I don't know. Try Seeing Winds. Seeing Winds? Seeing Winds. Seeing Winds. Honden of... Thank you. Okay, thank you, Frost Ace. Okay, Honden of Seeing Winds is a 5 mana mono blue legendary shrine, and at the beginning of your upkeep you draw a card for each shrine you control. That's just the better version of the other blue one. This one's just better. This one's even more hardcore. You don't gotta even discard a card. You ain't even gotta discard a card at the end of this one. Okay, all right, that's probably why it's 5 mana instead of 4. This thing's great though. It's a great little enchantment. It's gonna draw us chunks of cards at a time. Boop boop boop. All right, Honden of Seeing Winds spell check. Honden Seeing Winds. Thank you very much, Matt Bissett. But you risk decking yourself with it on upkeep. It's not worth it. Pride 1150. You are correct. I have seen Shrine players deck themselves, and it's really delicious to watch a Shrine player deck themselves with this thing. I like it a lot. Does the other one give you the option to not deck yourself? I don't remember the name of it. All right, hello everybody. I am Bigger Gayer Magic. Thank you for joining me for live deck building. Tonight's live, we are doing Shrine Tribal, and you say, Pup Maestro says, we're rebuilding the 20 Ways to Win deck. Hey, Pup Maestro, we could. So, Pup is referring to the 20 Ways to Win deck. It's a Secret Lair deck that came out a month or 2 ago, and it's an enchantment themed deck, and they reprinted Go Shintai in it as the commander, but it's not a Shrine deck. I guess it's Go Shintai as the commander primarily to recur enchantments from your graveyard. All right, so whole line of shrines, whole line of shrine list. Yeah, Honda. Yeah, we could do that. Let's pull up the Honden line of shrines. Oh my god, Honden. That's right. I put an O in it. It's my fault. It is my fault, as it always is. Cause yeah, okay. Honden, Honden. I put an O. My bad. All right. So we talked about the red one. We talked about the black one. We talked about the blue one. We didn't talk about the green one. Let's talk about the green one. The green one's 5 mana, and it says at the beginning of your upkeep, you put up 1/1 colorless each shrine. You can the white one, except we ain't got to pay 1 mana. All right. Cool. And then I think we did all the Hondens. Sanctum of Calm Waters. A Sanctum of Calm Waters, a Sanctum of Calm Waters is... Yeah, so this one. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you may... Yep, you may draw. So the other one will deck you. You can't stop it. This one is a may, making it more fair. And making it just better. Because it prevents you from decking yourself. Very cool. Pride 1150 says a Fruitful Harvest is great. Let's talk about a Fruitful Harvest. Fruitful Harvest. Fruitful Harvest. Fruitful Harvest. Sanctum of Fruitful Harvest is 3 mana for a green shrine for 60 cents that was printed in Core Set 2021. And at the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, you add X mana in any one color, where X is the amount of shrines you got. This thing is insane. This thing makes a fuck ton of mana. There's no other way to say it. This thing makes all the mana you need to win a Commander game all by itself and your other shrine guys. This thing's crazy. It's great. It's 60 cents. I really like the art on it. I think the art's great. I think it's one of the better ones from 2021. Art-wise. Good time. All right. Thank you, Pride. There's the green, too. Did we do the... I think, yeah, we did the Shintais. Gabriel says, I posted the Ramos combo. I saw that. Okay, let's go up to the Ramos combo. The Ramos combo with Progenitus and Emrakul. So the Ramos commander, you play Progenitus to use Ramos. So you take 5 +1/+1 counters off Ramos to get the 10 mana, and play Emrakul to drop 2 giant creatures that both have trample and protection from everything. Okay, cool. I'm not familiar with the Emrakul that plops creatures. Oh, Becca, Splitter of Seconds, says Voidless Void. Obeka, Splitter of Seconds. This is crazy. Let's talk about Obeka. Obeka, Splitter of Seconds is from Thunder Junction, and this thing is a 4-mana Grixis commander. And this Menacey 2/5 says that whenever Obeka, Splitter of Seconds deals combat damage to a player, you get that many additional end steps. The reason we want to run additional end steps is because a lot of our shrines trigger at the end step. If we have extra triggers, if we have extra steps, we get extra triggers because our shrines will trigger on the multiple steps. And it'll feel like extra turns. It'll feel like extra turns from the amount of value we get off those triggers from those extra steps. Obeka, Splitter of Seconds is crazy. It's a crazy deck. A friend of mine built it, and it takes long turns. Oh my god. It is I hate it when it hits people, because then it means that their turn's gonna take 10 minutes. Annie Joins Up is one of my favorite cards, period, full stop. Let's talk about Annie Joins Up. Probably one of the best cards printed in 2024. It is from the Thunder Junction expansion. It is 4 mana. It's a legendary enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you get to put 5 damage somewhere. But if a triggered ability of a legendary thing you have would trigger, it triggers an additional time. And so the way that Go Shintai's trigger works, whenever another shrine enters the battlefield under our control, we make a little shrine guy, and it makes Ramos go absolutely nuts, because Ramos also runs on triggers as well. So, the Kami War. The Kami War. Pride says the Kami War. The Kami War. I shouldn't say that. I mean Kami with a K. The Kami with a K. God damn it. Kami with a K. The Kami War is a 6 mana, 5 color enchantment from the Neon Genesis Kamigawa block. It's the first. This thing's cool.